Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Mayor and Alderman, Monday, October the 10th. At this time is Reverend Jim Norman in the audience. I have not seen Reverend Norman this evening. If I could, Mr. Woodard, would you be kind enough and gracious with their invocation and lead us in the pledge?
I'd be honored, sir. Thank you. Can we all stand? Heavenly Father, we pause on this beautiful evening just to give you thanks and praise. Father, we thank you for, again, this city that we all get to call home. We thank you again for the first responders that are always out there working so hard to keep us safe. We thank you again for the board here, the mayor and all the aldermen and the people that serve and also our city government. So, Father, may you continue to bless this town. May you continue to help us to grow and to prosper, and also to be the town that is also giving, which this place certainly is. May we continue to be, Father, thinking about the needs of others and always trying to be supportive and helpful to those in need. Father, again, this is the prayer that we bring to you in the name of Christ, and together we all say, amen and amen. Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Woodard. This time I'd like our city recorder to call the roll.
Yes. Mayor Noes,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Mathis.
Here.
Alderperson Almacher. Here. Barry.
Here.
Dunn. Glick.
Here.
Wilson.
Present.
6 present.
Thank you. With that, this evening, we have a couple of exciting things to talk about first. First, I'd like to welcome a newcomer to our city. I'd like to read certificate of recognition. Colonel Randall J. Gordon, commander at AEDC, new commander at AEDC. In honor of being installed as the 32nd commander of Arnold Engineering Development Complex by the United States Air Force for the past 71 years. AEDC has been an important national resource and has contributed to the development of practically every one of the nation's top priority aerospace and defense systems. We respect your experience, appreciate the leadership and the commitment that you've demonstrated throughout your career. And we appreciate that you are a member of our community. Congratulations on receiving this honor, and welcome to Tullahoma. So on behalf of the 20,339 citizens that call Tullahoma home, and by the authority vested in me as the mayor of Tullahoma, I now therefore proclaim Monday, October the 10th, 2022, as Colonel Randall J. Gordon Day in Tullahoma, and urge and beseech all citizens to recognize me in the same. If you join me at the flag, I'd like to get a picture of the presentation.
Mayor Pro Tem, Alderman, thank you. So with a couple of hours left to Randall J. Gordon Day, I'm assuming that comes with a free ticket to Chick-fil-A. We have a limited amount of time with which to take advantage of this. Also, you're the first one to tell me I'm the 32nd, so I need to get some t-shirts made of number 32 coming through there. I just thought through that. I wanted to introduce my wife, Tiffany, while we're here. So we are very, very happy to be here. If you had met me a few weeks ago, you noticed I walked around with a cast on my right hand, and it's because I met so many people in Tullahoma and shook so many hands that it actually snapped part of my hand. And so I still have that brace. But I give you that to say that in about 18 or 19 different moves that my wife and I have had, in 24 years of service in the Air Force, we have never, right, and I mean this as deeply as I can say it, we have never just been a part of a community that was just so welcoming and so open, and it's just been wonderful. I was telling a couple of you guys when I met here. Oh, sorry, please go ahead. So I was telling a couple of you guys when I met that this is our first time coming to Tennessee. We've heard of Arnold for a lot of our career in the test business, but we've never been stationed here, and we've never been to Tennessee before, and we've fallen completely in love with it. We were talking about this just a few days ago of, wow, what a spectacular town, what a wonderful community. We love the state. I've hiked so many different waterfalls just in the time that I've been here. We got a chance to see the Lost Sea just yesterday and took a trip up to go see that. We went to Monteagle and ate in Al Capone's house and had a great time there as well. And the hits just keep coming, right? Skydived over at the airport, and we're going to get a chance to do some zip lining stuff, and the community really loves the place. And so, again, thank you, right, for just being such a welcoming and open community. I also have to congratulate this community for being named a Great American Defense Community. That is an exceptional honor. That doesn't happen for a lot of places across the country, and it just hammers just how much of the support that this community has for the base. My predecessor, General Garrity, I've known him for a number of years, and so when I found out I was getting this responsibility to come here and replace him, he told me over and over and over again of just how much he really enjoyed the community, the engagement that's been there with Arnold, and that's been 100% correct. So again, thank you one more time. So I want to leave you with a couple of things. One is, so I just got back from what we call the Air Force Association, which is a big gathering of the United States Air Force and now Space Force that we have in Washington, D.C. And as a part of that, we did what's called the Wing Commanders Conference, where we get a chance to sit with the Secretary of the Air Force and the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. And for 3 days, it's basically all of the senior leadership of the Air Force talking to somewhere on the order of about 300 different wing commanders that are there that represent the entire United States Air Force across the entire planet. And the Chief of Staff said something that I think is important for this community to hear. One is this notion that after 9/11, and especially with COVID, he made this analogy of the military bases to some extent have sort of become like castles with drawbridges and moats around it, and that essentially, especially after 9/11, we drew up the drawbridge at a lot of different Air Force bases around the country, and essentially the military base became closed off from the local community, and that's bad, right? And that's something that the Chief of Staff felt so strongly about that he made it a point to look at all of his wing commanders and to say, I'm looking at you to help lower that drawbridge back down again. If we expect to recruit and to be able to build the base and the communities that we need the support of our local leadership as well. And if our answer is, well, we're going to be standoffish and you can't come to the base and no one knows what happens on the base, and there's one community here and another community there, then we've failed in that mission. So I took that as a personal challenge of how do we reinvigorate a lot of the ties between AEDC and the local community. And so just know, right, that's one of my big imperatives coming back. And to hear the Chief of Staff say that was just confirming of, okay, I think we're onto something here about how do we open up those ties again. So I'm here to tell you right now, please, please, please let me know what are the things that we can do together to be able to reinvigorate some of those ties, especially post-COVID. So that's the piece one. Piece two that I wanted to relay, and then I'll relinquish the microphone, was also the theme that we had at the Air Force Association, which was this notion that we are in a great power struggle around the world with various adversary nations, right? Be it Russia, you see that in the news every day in terms of what's happening in Ukraine, and that's a real shooting war. And then the notion of what could potentially happen in the Pacific area of responsibility, whether that's North Korea or China, a number of different adversaries that happen there. There is a tremendous amount of investment coming to Arnold, specifically to develop technologies that will be necessary so that our nation can still defend freedom around the world. So there is absolutely, positively no fear, no sense that Arnold's going away anytime soon. If anything, we've had a number of visits from a number of different dignitaries that have come down from Washington, D.C. just to understand a little bit more of what Arnold actually does, because they appreciate that this is the only place in a lot of cases in the entire country where you can do this type of technology development, and it happens just a few miles that way. So Arnold is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. The work that we do requires so much support from the local community in terms of the airmen that come in here and the civilian leadership that works out there. And it matters from a national defense standpoint. So again, on behalf of the Chief of Staff, I just wanted to say thank you for being so strong of a tie with the community. Thank you for welcoming my wife and I here. And I look forward to this assignment like nobody's business. This has been such a great time, and we've only been here just a little under 3 months. And already we can tell that this is just going to be probably my favorite tour in 24 years of service so far. So thank you. Thank you.
Again, Colonel Gordon, welcome. We look forward to you being here and interacting with our community. Thank you. Another prestigious award I'd like to make at this time is a presentation that on behalf of the International Economic Development Council, a gold award presented to the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation. I'd like to present this to Winston Brooks on behalf of the corporation. Mr. Brooks, come forward.
Here, Mayor, he'll stand in the center. Lynn, here we are. All right.
Well, this goes to Mr. Brooks on behalf of the corporation there, and put the voting is yours, and I bet you'll have just to say some things.
Well, first of all, welcome, Colonel Gordon. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm and for your leadership. And thank you, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. It is a pleasure to be here before you tonight. And on behalf of the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, we are pleased to announce that the Williamson Aviation Historic Redevelopment of Tullahoma Airport's World War II hangar has been recognized with an Excellence in Economic Development Award from the International Economic Development Council, or the IEDC. So we're super excited about that. I do want to recognize our chairman, Lynn Seaburn, is here tonight, as well as Colonel Beverly Lee, one of our board members. And this award was received at the IEDC annual conference in Oklahoma. And I want to thank Colonel Beverly Lee for attending that conference and receiving that award on our behalf. IEDC is the largest nonprofit professional association for professional economic developers in the world, and they selected TAEDC as a recipient of its 2022 Excellence Awards for Redevelopment and Reuse. This gold award honors organizations for exemplary economic development projects for their efforts in creating positive change in communities. Mr. Williamson's innovation in redevelopment and reuse is the reason for this recognition. The TAEDC works to attract and grow businesses in the aviation and aerospace sectors, and this project is a symbol of the types of investment we want to locate in Tullahoma. Special thanks to Mr. Williamson and his team for his tremendous investment in our community's future. This project was a great partnership with our economic development partners and the Tullahoma Airport. Mike Williamson has a long tradition of excellence in aviation as an Air Force veteran, licensed airframe and power plant mechanic, or an aircraft mechanic. He spent 12 years with experience in the Air Force working on heavy jets. And in addition, he has a degree in aeronautics and a background in CNC machining, programming, and engineering. He currently owns Williamson Aviation and Lynchburg Machine Tool, which is being operated out at the Tullahoma Airport in this once eyesore that we know as the World War II hangar, which is now the Williamson Aviation hangar. Please welcome Mr. Williamson to tell us more about Williamson Aviation. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the award, everybody. If you've known me longer than 5 minutes, you know I'm usually unprepared for stuff like this. But it's been a long road, very expensive investment. But it's made my life easier trying to run a business in Lynchburg and then doing the aircraft maintenance at the airport for the last 5 or 6 years. Has me stretched real thin. And so now we were able to find this piece of property, restore it, consolidate my business. both businesses and streamline things. And we're expanding, looking at, trying to hire more employees. I'm really trying to grow the engineering side of the house, the machine shop, the aircraft side of the house is, as of right now, kind of self-sustaining. So now what my next moves right now is, expand, rebrand Lynchburg Machine Tool, and I'll probably look at more engineering projects and get more into the tech side of it. So, but I appreciate it.
Again, congratulations to TAEDC and to you, Mr. Wilkins. This time, we'll entertain comments from citizens. I believe if you were going to speak tonight, you did sign in. So we have a list of those who have signed in, and I'll ask the city recorder to call you up.
Reba Waters.
I will ask you to keep your comments to about 3 minutes. Would please.
Okay.
State
My
your
name is
and
Reba
address.
Walters, and I am the president of the Daycare Center, Tullahoma Daycare Center. And I'm here tonight to comment on resolution number 1928, which is on tonight's agenda. We are excited about this opportunity to expand our services to more children by adding additional space to our building and upgrading our outdoor classroom area. Receiving this large of a grant is a rare opportunity for a nonprofit daycare such as ours to expand our services. It will allow us to decrease the number of children on our waiting list and to serve more families in our area. We appreciate your support for the project, and as we work with the state and local agencies, we hope to make this expansion a reality. Work life is easier for families with stable, quality childcare, which we have been providing in Tullahoma since 1968. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Next on the agenda,
Next on the list would be, that signed in, Mr. Craig Northcutt.
Good evening. As I think everyone knows, I'm a longtime resident of Tullahoma, but regrettably, that's not what brings me here today. I'm also blessed with the honor of serving as your district attorney, and I'm here in that capacity. On October 3rd of this year, last Monday, I was presented with a complaint regarding the residency of Ms. Allmacher. This complaint was signed by approximately 270 citizens of this city. A prior similar allegation was made related to her county commission run. At that time, Ms. Allmacher had a frivolous lawsuit filed against one of my assistant district attorneys, which I felt would be better that I get out of that for appearances so there was no appearance of impropriety on my part. However, Ms. Allmacher, when requested by the court, was unable to bring any factual legal basis to support that lawsuit, and it was thus dismissed about 2 months ago. So that conflict no longer exists, which means that I am now tasked with dealing with this new and separate complaint. This complaint deals with the fact that Ms. Allmacher, by operation of law, has not been an alderman since February of 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to object at this point.
you'll have an opportunity to respond. Please go ahead.
Ms. Allmacher was duly elected by the citizens of, and the voters, which are non-citizens of Tullahoma in certain circumstances, to take office in August of 2020. That time, she resided at a property in Tullahoma, Coffee County, in Macon Manor. In February of 2021, she sold that property. Sold the property for $330,000. At that point, no other residents within the city limits of Tullahoma. In August of the same year, she purchased unapproved property for $270,000 on Lefford Mill Road. That is both in the Coffee County and city limits of Tullahoma. However, there is no residence on that property. By her own admission, by witness statements, she has been residing at a property on Blue Creek Road, which is in Franklin County and outside the city limits of Tullahoma, for approximately 20 months. Under the city charter, in order to run for either alderman or mayor of the city of Tullahoma, one must reside in the city limits. City charter also indicates that a alderman and mayor must continue to reside in the city limits for the full term
This is not on the agenda, and he's passed his 3 minutes.
I would ask for an extension, Your Honor. I think this.
We don't
warrant-
have that in our board rules.
I think it.
Point of order. This is not on the agenda, and it's passed his 3 minutes.
Your comments are not in order. Please go ahead.
She resided at this property on Blue Creek Road for nearly 20 months of what was then a 3-year term as alderman. It has now been extended to 4 years. This has been brought to my attention pursuant to a formal complaint, as I indicated earlier. Pursuant to 2935-101, it falls upon the District Attorney General within the county of the city to bring a quo warranto action to remove a public official who is unrightfully holding office. Thus, it has now become my responsibility to deal with this issue. What I'm here today to ask is that Ms. Allmacher do what is required of her and step down. Every vote can be called into question for every item that you continue to take action on. That is not best for the city. It's not best for you. It is not best for anyone for that to continue to happen. If you do not take that road, I'll have no choice but to file the appropriate action to have you removed by court order. I do not wish that. There is Proverb 29 that says, "Wise man does not argue with a fool, because the fool only rages and laughs, and there's no peace but controversy." I want peace. I don't want controversy. I'm here asking and hoping that there's 2 wise people in this, and we can simply do what's right and move forward. I would ask that you do that within the next business day. If you do not, I will take the action that the law requires me to take in this. Please don't make me do that. Those are my comments. Thank you.
I should get
Alderman Allmacher.
respond. Yes,
You may-
okay.
You may respond.
So, again, I reside in the city limits of Tullahoma. I am a resident for all intents and purposes by Tennessee Code annotated 2-2-122. Principles for the determination of residence and the factors involved. The determination of whether a person is a resident is made in light of the residence of a person is that place in which the person's habitation is fixed and to which, whenever the person is absent, the person's definite intention to return. Okay, so a change of residence is generally made not only by the act of removal joined with the intent to remain in another place, and each individual can only have one resident. A person does not become a resident of a place solely by intending to make it the person's residence. There must be appropriate action consistent with intention. You said 2 things that were not, well, actually 3 things. The amount of my house is irrelevant and also not really your business to be sharing. But number 2, the property that I bought also is not unimproved. And also, if you look at the tax records, it is improved. It had 2 barns on it, and I put a travel trailer on it. And yes, I know what you're about to say. A travel trailer is not a legal residence in the city of Tullahoma based on our code, except except for the fact that that 20 acres is zoned agricultural. And there is a state law that actually says, Mr. Northcott, and you being the district attorney ought to have known this, that a municipality cannot interfere with agricultural property per Tennessee Code Annotated 6-54-126 from the year 2005. And the use of agricultural purposes can also mean a resident on that purposes. Therefore, the travel trailer code does not apply to agricultural purposes. I have a travel trailer, I have a resident, my driver's license says 1744 Ledford Mill Road, and I am a resident, so I suggest you go ahead and file whatever it is you need to file.
Ma'am, I'm not here to litigate this issue with you. We will
Exactly.
litigate
You're
in
not on the
courtroom.
agenda and your time is up. There is no need for a response.
I
I
don't-
have the opportunity to respond. He is out of order.
I don't,
You
I
you
don't,
have responded. Thank you.
you called me out. And
Thank you,
just
DA.
like you had a response,
You're out
I
of
get to
order.
have a response as well.
Point of order, Mayor.
At this point, Mr. Northcott, I'm going to call for a short recess. I need to speak with our city attorney. Before we go further, I'd like for the board to remain at the dais for now until I speak with our attorney in private. Mr. Giffen, could you please join me outside? Okay, at this time, we will proceed with the agenda as it was presented. And with the, at this time, we'll go to the approval of the agenda as presented. If there's no objection, we'll approve the agenda as presented. Hearing no objection, we will proceed with the agenda. We'll start with reports from the Alderman. We'll start with Alderman Wilson.
Yeah, so I have had, we actually didn't do the reports last time. So I thought I would back up just a little bit because there was some pretty cool stuff that happened. Had my first Arts Council meeting, was very, very nice to meet everybody. And we're so fortunate to have that council in our town. Lots of exciting, cool stuff happening. I've also had the opportunity to have my first Go Green Tullahoma council meeting. Met everybody there, was really nice. Alderman Dunn was kind enough to kind of come to this first meeting and kind of introduce me to everybody and get me up to speed on everything that is going on in that council. Lots of really, really intelligent people on the board. We also, Alderman Glick and I had an opportunity to have a tour of TUA facilities, and that was very, very impressive. They do those tours with the public. I'll highly suggest it. It's quite exciting. We have a really, really, really nice things there. And that's about it.
Alderman Dunn.
Yes, sir. As Alderman Wilson mentioned, I had my last Go Green meeting, so that was a bit bittersweet, but I know she'll be doing well with that. And I met with the Economics Board last Tuesday, and I think Winston hit most everything there, but lots of really exciting stuff. So,
Mayor Pro Tem Mathis.
This last week, we met with our parliamentarian as a group of aldermen and pro tems and mayors, and she informed us and showed us all of the rules of order, and it was very, very, very informative. A lot of things I had no idea what she was talking about, but they all went very well, and it was something we needed, and it's going to be very helpful to me. And she gave us some material to read, and of course, what you get when you get a material to read, you look at it and you say, how big is it? Well, it was that thick. And I said, well, heck. So we're going to do that, and we want to tell you we appreciate your efforts and what you did.
Thank you.
Alderman Glick.
I haven't had any committee meetings from my assigned committees, which is the Sports Council and the Downtown Committee. But I've met with or talked with Winston Brooks about the downtown group, and hopefully we'll get something started with it pretty soon. There are currently no members, so I would in the future be maybe proposing adding some members, inviting some people, or however, whatever the procedure would be on that. But we need to get some people involved from the public. The Sports Council, haven't met with them since I've been alderman. Of course, I used to meet with them a lot, but so I'll be getting back involved with that. And then I also went on the TUA tour with Alderman Wilson. It was a very good tour. There's a lot more that goes in when you just flip on the light switch and it comes on. There's a lot going behind it to make that happen, and it was a very interesting tour.
Thank you. Alderman Berry.
Thank you, Mayor. Probably one of the coolest, this will sound awful, but probably one of the coolest tours that I've been on since outside of the base was the TUA tour, and what they're doing at that wastewater plant is just amazing. If you can take that tour, I think we're one of the first and maybe one of the only in the state to be doing some of the things that we're doing there. So it's really amazing. I had my first meeting with the school board. I'm really looking forward to working with them and creating a strong relationship there. I attended the National Night Out, which there was great attendance, and thank you to everybody who voluntold. I've got a pop here, who was voluntold to be there, who volunteered, who donated. Mayor, I think that you were there. I got to do I guess it's an USSI because there were 2 or more with safety pup. So that was pretty exciting. I think that's all I did. But thank you to all of our first responders and everybody for putting that on.
Alderman Almacher.
Yes, update from the Housing Authority is in February, the director will be retiring, and on our agenda this evening, it's on our consent agenda, you'll be announcing it shortly, is the vacancy on the Tullahoma Housing Authority Board for the open resident member position. So this isn't just any member of the community that can apply for that. It has to be a resident of one of the housing authority complexes, or I believe it can also be one of the Section 8 houses that we have a contractual relationship with private owners. It could be a resident of one of those as well, if I'm not mistaken. So the lady that was doing that, the reason that she is resigning is she moved, and she was really beloved. They really enjoyed having her. It's only a 5-man board, so that person, they really have a lot of say-so with it being such a small board. So if you know somebody that would like to be more involved, they do a whole lot within those communities as far as outreach, and that person plays a huge role in that. So if you know anybody that might be interested in serving in that capacity, then please pass that along. Our Tourism Council, also, we have a lack of membership right now, but about a month ago, we discussed briefly, Winston and I did, trying to set up a regional summit for tourism stakeholders. So I would think that would look something like the IEDC, people who are in the agritourism business, those members of the Whiskey Trail, Jack Daniels, Nearest Green, and all of our George Dickel compadres over there, and the Arts Council. I think that we could also, kind of work together with downtown and with arts as well to involve South Jackson and the Tullahoma Fine Arts Center, as well as, maybe the Hands-On Site Center, and get a good group back together. But we need to have a regional summit to figure out how we can work together within the region to increase tourism over the next year. And that is all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, as Alderman Berry mentioned, the First Responders Night Out was a hit. We had a lot of young folks there that were seeing what policemen and the firemen are their friends. That was the message I got from that. And the Alderman Mathis indicated what a great time we had at our parliamentarian training, and we even learned some new words there that we didn't know even what existed. But anyway, I think that tonight, one of the things we'll be trying to do with our agenda items is we try to allocate our policy say we'll try to allocate no more than 15 minutes to an agenda item. We went around the room with 2 minutes each, that's 14 minutes, so let's try to keep it about a couple of minutes, and we'll get through that within our allocated time. So that's the only report and that's my only thing I have for my report tonight, but I'd like to refer to our city attorney, who is not here, but he's stand-in. Mike Griffin is here. Do you have anything for us tonight?
I don't. Mr. Worsham's out of town and did not leave a report for me to give. I did wear my UT tie for you, though. I want to say go Vols. That's my.
We thank you for being here and wearing your UT tie.
Thank you.
We got a lot of them around. We'll see. Check on next Monday.
Yeah, you better look at me.
Okay. With that, we'll get a report from our city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to use this time just to remind you all and the public that our Tullahoma Parks and Recreation is now producing this Tullahoma tea, and you can pick one of these up for free. It's a fall/winter program guide and has a lot of the fun fall activities that are coming up in it, including a haunted hayride and indoor festival for families. Also, we have new programs starting at CD Stamps, a new yoga class, dance fitness, and lots of athletics, including our top 5 in the country junior MBA program. So please pick up one of these. Like I said, there's more than I can mention tonight, but just wanted to point out that publication. Also, on behalf of the Tullahoma Area Chamber of Commerce, wanted to remind our citizens that we have an exciting Shop Local event coming up. So as you're thinking about your maybe holiday purchases, if you shop between November 1st and December 15th, or eat out at any of our local restaurants, you can bring those receipts to the chamber and be entered into a drawing for $100 cash. And so that's coming up. And then the last thing for the board, I wanted to remind you, next Monday, we have a special called meeting where you intended to discuss recommendations that you want to send on to the Planning Commission for the 2040 Think Tullahoma plan. And that is going to be at 6 p.m. in this room immediately following the Planning Commission's meeting.
I believe we're doing 6 p.m. because we have planning commission meeting first.
Yes. And I have one more item.
Okay, very good. 6 p.m.
Yes.
Very good.
And I'm very excited to share this news with you. On Friday last week, we received a call from TDOT regarding an application we put in over a year ago for a transportation alternatives grant. It's more than $1 million award. We will have a 20% match assuming you all approve the award. But it is specifically for South Anderson Street between East Lincoln and East Carroll. And it's an improvement project that would upgrade the signalized intersections at both of those endpoints, build a sidewalk on one side of the road, multi-use path on the other, install curb and gutter. I mean, just a complete improvement in that corridor. So we're very excited about that, especially I think, opportunity to improve the crosswalks and the sidewalk connectivity. So that will be coming to you, I would think, probably 2 to 3 months before we see the grant contract, but it'll be coming on a future agenda for you to accept that award.
Thank you very much. That
Thank
is
you.
exciting.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we'll move into our agenda tonight. First, we'll start with the approval of the consent agenda. I'll read the captions for the consent agenda. 22-155 is just minutes from our September 26th meeting. 22-156 minutes from our September 19th special call meeting. And then on 22-157 is to announce a vacancy on the Housing Authority, consider application for interest suited from the open resident member positions and serve as the remainder of an unexpired term. That was referred to in Alderman Almacher's report. So I get a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion from Barry, seconded by Dunn. Discussion. Those vote green for approval, red for not.
I'm missing a few. Noah's done, Mathis, Glick. Thank you. There you go.
It passes 7-0. There being no unfinished business, we'll move into the new business. First one is consider the approval of an amendment to the agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Short Springs Road Guardrail Project to extend the term by 1 year of the new project to end date on September the 30th, 2023. Those details are on page 18. Get a motion from Barry, seconded by Dunn. Any discussion? Discussion will go to the city administrator. She has some details on that.
Yes, I thought I would share this Short Springs Road Guardrail Project is going to install guardrail on both sides of Short Springs Road, immediately adjacent to and across the bridge at Bobo Creek. This is a project that on our September 12th board meeting, you approved awarding the bid. And now the state is following up. They've concurred with the bid and they are granting us a 1-year time extension to complete the project and finish all closeout. So this amendment is only extending the TDOT grant contract by 1 additional year.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I vote green for approval, red for no. That passes 7-0. Next on the agenda is item number 22-159, consider approval of the purchase of fertilizer and seed from Dickens Turban Landscape as applied from the Tullahoma Parks and Rec Department for the athletic fields amount of $17,275, $17,275. Motion from Mathis, seconded by Barry. Any discussion? Any background on that, City Administrator?
We're just recommending Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. They were the apparent low bidder for these materials, so we could do our annual maintenance to our athletic fields.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll green for yes and red for no. Passes 7-0. Next item is number 22-160. Consider approval and authorize the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with Burris Thompson and Associates in the total amount of $14,245 for a full review of the City of Tullahoma's employee compensation and classification plan. Details on page 29 of your packet. Get a motion from Barry, seconded by Dunn, and City Administrator probably got some details on that.
Yes, thank you. This is an item that we briefly discussed during this past year's budget conversation. The city's current pay plan, or compensation and classification plan, pay plan for short, was adopted in 2016. And that's when the city first implemented the STEP plan that we are on today and that employees are familiar with. Every year since adopting that plan, this board has approved us to give step raises, which have moved employees through the plan. And then we've also annually given a cost of living increase that helps to keep our pay competitive in the market. In 2020, actually, it was the end of 2019, we hired Burris Thompson to review our plan, give us an update, and let us know how were the raises that we had been giving, were we still staying ahead of in the market as we intended to be with those raises. So at that time, he studied 20 positions. We picked one in each pay grade and then a few that we thought maybe it had some recruitment concerns or difficulty keeping positions filled. And he reported back to us, made a recommendation that we look at increasing our starting wages. And so in that very next budget, we were challenged with the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, concerns about recession. If you remember, right at the beginning of 2020, we had no idea what was going to happen with the economy because of the pandemic. So we didn't implement right away, but as soon as we came back towards the end of 2020, early 21, we adjusted wages. You might remember we gave a late cost of living increase that year. We didn't do it at the budget time, but we did it in December at the end of the year. That's when we increased starting wages for our those in the lowest pay grades of our plan. So I say all that to say 2020 was the last time that we studied this. It really is a best practice to do a full review of your plan about every 5 years. We've waited a little bit late purposely because of the pandemic and the labor market kind of volatility that I think we've all been experiencing. But I don't think that we need to delay any longer. And so I hope that you'll support this item tonight. It is to hire Burris Thompson, and Steve Thompson is here tonight to answer any questions that you may have about methodology or any specific things I may not be able to answer. But we're hoping you'll support that. And also, I've tried to give you good information here about some of the deliverables. What I'm most excited about is we've asked him to give more than just a review of job descriptions, but to also hold some focus group meetings where he'll meet one-on-one with employees that share similar job duties and responsibilities, and have the employees be able to talk about the work that they do and make sure that the job descriptions are up to date and reflect the work that they currently do, and that when we look out in the market, that we're really comparing ourselves with people that, with other cities and people in other positions in those cities that do similar job duties. And the last thing I'll say is timeline. Steve Thompson's agreed to try to get started with this work right away this fall so that we have early next year the results and we can consider the cost estimates when we're looking at the annual budget.
Very good. Is there any discussion or any questions that any of the board members need answered?
A quick question.
Yes?
Do they only consider the salary, or do they take into account the, any benefits? I'm just curious.
That is a great question. I believe that compensation, you would look or give us some feedback on their benefits as well as their wages. Could you answer that for us at the podium? Mr. Thompson, thank you.
Yeah, great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about what we're doing. Actually, in the scope of work, we don't have a formal review of the benefits package. We could add that. What we do have in here is just kind of a cursory review of your benefits and see how they stack up to the marketplace. To your question, when we compare to the market, it's really difficult to add dollars and cents to the wage numbers and come up with something you can compare to other cities. It's pretty much impossible. So, and moreover, many employees value benefits differently. So, some of the newer, younger folks really don't care about benefits. It's all about the take-home wage. People with families are more interested in benefits. So how do you compare? It gets kind of complicated. So to answer your question, no, there is no formal review of benefits in the scope of work as proposed, but we can add that. It's not a real big expense. It's like a $1,500 kind of add-on. We get the data from the other municipalities and city governments and kind of compare healthcare, retirement, sick leave, vacation leave, retirement, and disability coverage. That's pretty much what we compare. And it's a 40,000-foot view of benefits and just kind of identify, well, you're ahead of the game, you're in the middle, you're falling behind is kind of what comes out of it. So we can add that.
Sometimes benefits are worth a lot.
Yeah, they are, but we're finding we did about 14 pay studies last year, and we've got another 14 lined up this year. And wherever we go, it's the talk is the benefits just not as important as they used to be, and focus is really on the wages. So,
Alderman Allmarker, you have a question?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what Burris Thompson and associations or associates, I mean, I don't know if this is what you do full time, but it does seem to me that the employee compensation and classification plan would be the benefits would be a huge component. I don't think we would be looking for let's compare our benefits to Manchester's benefits. I think we would be looking for that as it relates to the compensation package as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very well aware in HR that there are, places that obviously analyze the entire package and salary based on whether or not there are benefits, or if there are benefits. If there are great benefits, then the salary, may be lower. If it doesn't have benefits, the salary may be higher. So unless you are analyzing the compensation along with this benefit package, your data is not going to give us what we need.
okay, like I said, we can add that. It's not a big deal. I will say this.
Not a
though.
compare contrast. I mean, it needs to be added into
Yeah.
your analyzing the total employee compensation.
So, well, to be clear, what we would do is we would line up the health care coverage, the retirement, paid time off, et cetera, and compare across the benchmark employers, other cities and county governments, and identify how much per pay period employees contribute to healthcare coverage. That's a dollar and cent amount that we can quote. How many days of vacation? How your sick leave is set up? Do you accumulate sick days? Is there a limitation on unused sick days that you can accumulate? Is there no limitation? Do you pay it upon termination? Do you not pay it on return terminate? Do you roll unused sick days into TCRS? All those kinds of questions we can analyze. Yes, be glad to do that.
Mayor?
Alderman Dunn.
Yes, and this is probably more for Jennifer and possibly Costa. Do you feel like this package as presented is going to meet the needs and answer the questions you need to make decisions for our city employees?
I think the scope of work that we presented, we tried to be cost effective in our request of Burris Thompson, and just from our own knowledge and review, I actually wanted to ask a follow-up question, but from our knowledge and review, I would say that we offer some of the best benefits of any city government that we would be competing against. And then certainly public sector benefits have historically always been better than private sector benefits, especially when we offer a pension plan. That's a rare thing in today's world. What I thought listening to your conversation is it might be very helpful if Costa and I provide you with an overview of the benefits that we provide and how we estimate the value of those benefits per employee, what the city spends annually, what the employee has to contribute annually for their benefits. And we have a number of voluntary benefits that we offer. But I think if you would look at our benefits package, it should help inform your decision about where we should be in the market. So it would help us give guidance to Steve Thompson. What I mean by where we want to be in the market is typically one of the first questions that Mr. Thompson would ask us is, do you want to be in the middle, and have maybe half of places pay less than you do, half of places pay better than you do? Or do you want to position yourself at the very top of the market, be the best paid employees in this region or this market area? Or do you want to be somewhere in between? I think for us, we have been really successful at being right in the middle of the market, because when you look at total compensation with our benefits package, we're still one of the few places that is covering employee medical benefits at 100%. Our employees do not contribute to any insurance premium. We cover them 100%. Family medical benefits, which something that I have, I think we pay about $310 a month for family coverage.
That sounds like it's worth a lot.
We'll ask anyone who has to buy private insurance. That's in the thousands of dollars for a family. So that's the kind of competitiveness that I would say we could probably share with you, and you would feel confident in the numbers that we show you that we are a premier employer when it comes to benefits. But I also agree with what Mr. Thompson said. When we look at, I review every exit interview that's taken as employees leave, and I also get frequent updates about recruitment. And he's right. I don't know if it's generational, but a lot of the employees, the candidates we see today, they're most interested in what dollar are they going to make, and they worry about benefits after they've chosen the job. We've even had employees that leave thinking that they're leaving to make more money per hour, and then they call us and say, can I come back because I didn't realize how much their medical benefits were going to take out of my paycheck. So I guess that's what I was going to share. And then I was going to ask you as a follow-up, in your salary survey that you send out every 2 years, does that include questions about benefits? And we could possibly review that survey information
Yes.
to see how we compare.
Yes, it does. And you should, Costa probably has that report, yes.
Yeah, I thought it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do this benefits review many times when we do pay studies. And to be honest, most of the time the result is we've got some strong points, we've got some not so strong points. Does it tell us we need to be a high payer or a low payer? Probably not. So we're going to continue with our pay strategy, whatever it is. Most employers, kind of by definition, choose to be average. I've got some clients that choose to be way above average. And I've got one or two that purposely, because their benefits package is so good, target below average in salaries. Although one of those said, because of the benefits thing not being important, they're going to target the average now going forward, even though their benefits package is really good. Employees and families don't pay anything for health coverage. Pretty unusual, probably not sustainable. But anyway, another story. So anyway, other questions?
Good, thank you.
I guess I had a comment too on the benefits package. I think it might be valuable to kind of see a comprehensive study of that, because I think the benefits and the salaries that people are making are, when you put them together, are kind of their compensation. So, so maybe as we study that and see what we have versus what other people offer, and is that what is marketable? I mean, do we need to relook at the, is this maybe the time that we think about, we relook at how we offer our compensation and benefit package? Do people now, as Mr. Thompson said, would they prefer to have more money and less benefits? And do we want to structure ours to be more competitive to do that? Is that the time to look at that? I mean, because right now it seems like we're just going to go forward with keeping our same benefit package, which is great. I mean, I have to get private insurance now, so I know how good it was, and it's very good coverage. It's no cost to the employee, and it's premier coverage. So, but I know how young people are. They think they're invincible, and I don't really care about health insurance right now. I want a bigger paycheck. So, I mean, is it time to kind of look at that in our whole philosophy of what compensation package we offer? So in order to do that, I think we would need to have more of a beefier study of the benefits.
Alderman Berry.
One comment first is, my take on it is I want to do whatever it takes to retain our best employees, even our worst employee. Nobody's worse. Everybody matters, right? And attract the best possible talent. Without staff, we can sit up here and have as many conversations as we want. They're probably the most critical piece to the city. So whatever that takes. It does sound like we may want the benefits, so I will make a motion to amend. Do I want to postpone, or do we want to make a motion to amend to add the benefit?
Yeah, you would postpone.
No, I think we want to add,
Benefit to the scope of work.
we want to add the benefit to the scope of work. I'll make a motion to amend the scope of work to add help me out here, the benefits study. Motion to amend the scope of work to include the benefits study.
And I mentioned we could do that. I think it said $1,500, as I recall. That would be the add-on.
Should I add he said I'll say up to $1,500. Do we need to add that in there? An amount?
Yes.
Not in an amount not to exceed $1,600. He said not to exceed $1,500.
And I can amend this document and send it back.
Let's get your amendment to this recorder. Get it.
Motion to add scope of work to include a total benefit.
Benefits review, call it. That'd be.
Benefit review.
Yeah.
A total benefit review up to $1,500.
Now, I would like to make a comment.
You recognize?
So just to clarify for your purposes, what we're asking is not just a compare contrast of other benefits. We're asking you to analyze those benefits as it relates to the total compensation. So to kind of put a dollar amount to what that total compensation is, including our benefits, as opposed to other municipalities' total compensation, including their benefits.
Okay, so that is pretty darn impossible to do. I mean, we could come up with a dollar amount, sort of. I mean, how do you value vacation time? How do you value unlimited sick
Well,
sick accrual
Sick days
versus?
you're getting paid for those days, so you can put a dollar amount to those days. I mean, am I understanding that correct? Is that what we're asking?
Yeah, but then you got, okay, what salary level do you talk about in coming up with those costs? There's a whole host of issues that we'd have to resolve. I mean, it could be done, but at the end of the day, I'm going to say, you're going to be, what does this mean? that total package for a heavy equipment operator and the average benchmark group is $62,000 and yours is $58,000. What do we do with that? I don't know. It says you're in the ballpark, but we probably don't need to go through that whole exercise to tell you that.
Well, if we're in the ballpark and they're 58, or we're 58 and they're 62, but our benefit package is better, we would need to know that. So we would need to know what their benefit package
Yeah,
is in order
that's the
to.
approach we're going to take. We're going to do the salaries. We're going to give you numbers based on salary. We'll do a benefits review and identify here's where you're strong, here's where you're weak. Overall, your benefits package is in the ballpark or stronger than average, whatever. And then that, you can use that information to determine, do you want to be an average payer or slightly above average payer? We would work with Costa and the rest of the city to determine that. And maybe we need to go before you to make that final decision before we go forward with the study as far as the salary data goes. But, whatever you want to do, but that's the approach we would take.
I'm not comfortable with the approach.
We have a motion that you're making.
I want to
an amendment.
withdraw.
I'm going to add something.
Yeah, I'd like to withdraw that motion.
You're withdrawing your amendment. And it's going to be Chair's suggestion that we postpone
Yeah.
action on this agenda item and let our staff put together a proposal, a request for a proposal
Okay.
to incorporate the comments that you've heard here tonight. Would the board be comfortable with that?
Move to postpone.
Yeah.
Just with-
Yeah.
I second it.
Can I
You withdraw.
withdraw my motion?
I heard you withdraw.
Withdraw,
I heard
move to postpone.
Almacher make a motion to postpone. And I need a
I
second.
second it.
And you've got a motion and a second.
Do we need to add the direction to that motion?
Well, I think you heard, move to postpone until the staff has had a chance to reevaluate and present us with a new scope.
You can add direction.
Yeah. Are you guys kind of clear on what we're wanting? Or what, I mean, I understand it's more for you than it is for us, but I think it would be beneficial. I think Bobby had an excellent point.
I've had multiple employers that were able to show me what my salary was going to be and then what it would be with all the benefits.
yeah, yeah.
And it made a huge difference in
sure.
my decision. And it may be good if we discuss kind of like those dollar amounts when we're hiring so that the younger employees kind of understand like how much that's truly worth.
So
And that
here's
is
the
what our
challenge.
Human Resources Department does. Costa does provide that total compensation.
Okay, we've
value to
got a motion to
Okay,
postpone
all right,
direction
all right.
to staff.
Okay. I will work with them. We'll figure it out.
In
Okay.
a second.
And you made the second. Any further discussion? Hearing no other discussion, vote
All right. Thank you.
agreeing for postpone with direction to staff.
All right, let's try it one more time. Sorry. My papers hit it. There we go. Thank you.
That's 6-1. Okay, resolution number 1928. Resolution to support a CDBG child care expansion grant from Tullahoma for the daycare with no local match required. Get a motion. Motion from Barry.
So moved.
Second from Mathis. City Administrator.
Yes. I tried to give a pretty extensive memo and background to this item, and I'll try to be succinct in explaining it, but you're probably very familiar. We've been talking about and soliciting interest in this program that helps expand childcare services in our community. Initially, we brought a resolution forward to the board because the state of Tennessee was telling us we're only going to issue one grant contract to the city of Tullahoma, who will be the grantee, and then you sub-grant out to however many daycares you end up assisting, and that the maximum for that grant contract is $500,000. We had identified 2 local daycares. One is Little Angels Daycare that's located on East Grundy Street. The other is Tullahoma Daycare Center on Trinity Lane. And we had thought that that one resolution for up to 500,000 would be sufficient. Since that time, they have come back and said that they want individual grant contracts with each project, so each individual entity, and then each entity could apply for up to 500,000. So what we've done is Little Angels is a little further along in their application process. They've already applied, they've been awarded. We have a grant contract that you approved with them. I'll be bringing you, Mayor Noah's, a memorandum of understanding. And so the first resolution that you passed, we are keeping that with Little Angels and to keep our records and reporting process clean. I'm bringing you a second resolution tonight that we hope to put with Tullahoma Daycare's application and have it be part of their grant award. So that's why the resolution in front of you tonight looks identical to one that you previously passed. But I just wanted to make you aware that instead of $500,000 passing through our hands, we've had Little Angels apply for $250,000, and then Tullahoma Daycare is going to apply for up to $500,000. And so we have the potential for $750,000 in funding to come from the state through us to support these projects.
Any questions? We got a motion and a second. Hearing no, cut debate, vote green for yes and red for no.
Too quick on me tonight. I apologize. I'm trying to be good about timing, so sorry, Miss Almacher. There you go.
That's a 7-0. Okay. Then moving on down to resolution number 1929. Hope you've had a chance to look at the details of this. The resolution to amend the meeting schedule for the Board of Mayor and Alderman effective January 2023. And someone has looked at that and we've got a motion from Barry, seconded from, give a second. Got a second from Glick. And I'll get into the details on this. I'll push him to get this done. We've had a number of discussions about not having enough opportunities in our study sessions to get things on the study session timely. So the proposal is to, our charter, our resolution, our code says we'll have a study session after a regular board meeting. In order to change that, we have to do it by resolution, and we can do it by resolution. And the resolution that's being proposed is to have our regular board meeting occur on the fourth Monday of the month. You would have a study session on the second Monday of the month. Any item that's going to be on the full agenda for the fourth Monday would be on the agenda for the study session for us to review ahead of time, answer all the questions that we have, and that'll be the first portion of the study session meeting. The second portion of the study session meeting would be to have, if there are new items that an alderman wants to get on the agenda, we can bring it forward at that time. It's good. Here's why I want to put this on the agenda. And we get support. And somebody said, no, that's not a bad idea. That's a bad idea. Let's don't do it. But I think it's a way for us to get items on the agenda very effectively. So that way it gets us, we're still meeting 2 Monday nights a month. We're still accomplishing all the things that the board needs to do for the city's business during the month. For that first study session, we would have every department head here in this boardroom to answer any questions that we have about an item that's coming up on that agenda item. So that will be now for the actual board meeting, we would only have the department head that related to an agenda item for that meeting. So everybody wouldn't have to come. That's the idea behind this resolution, to amend the meeting schedule for the Board of Mayor and Alderman effective 2023. We got a motion and we got a second. Any further discussion? Alderman Allen,
Do you want to start here? You want to do the
since you introduced it,
round?
you may.
No comment other than thank you for being attentive to the board and our requests and really listening and taking action fairly quickly.
And no action can be taken on that first study session meeting, okay? So that would be a violation of the charter of us having 2 meetings a month. The other problem with it is I think this board is wanting to have a little more control over the city business, and us only being able to vote on something once every 30 days or 4 to 5 weeks, depending on a given month, will actually give us less control and the administration more control. And I don't think that that is the intention behind us wanting to have more study sessions. I think the intent of us wanting to have more study sessions is so that we can understand more and also be able to rein back some of that power and give the elected officials a little bit more say-so in the direction of the city. And I believe that this will have the, albeit unintended consequence, but it will have the effect of doing the opposite. Now, it does say, shall continue thereafter until changed to such other times as the board by resolution from time to time directs upon the giving of at least 2 weeks public notice. So what that says to me is we can have a study session really anytime we want to, so long as we give the public 2 weeks notice. But we can't take away the regular board meeting and just have a study session, because that would too be in violation of the charter.
It's a resolution, we can. Alderman Wilson, you have a comment?
I've had a few people actually that even have worked in the city before who had made this suggestion before, that I think that a while back, some time ago, they had a format similar to this. The only thing that I worry about is things, that are time sensitive in the, that might need a board approval, one time a month, maybe cutting it close for some things that are important and time of the essence sort of things.
Understand. Alderman Dunn.
I have to disagree that this board needs more control over the employees of this city. I think we definitely want to rely on the people who are experts in their field, and I think micromanagement is exactly what we don't need. If I would agree that what we are doing currently at our board meetings is not conducive to helping our citizens or our employees to conduct what they need to do. I am hopeful that this change might do something good. I also have reservations, as Alderman Wilson pointed out, that if we've got something that might be more pressing, that meeting once a month might be cutting it close. So I just hope that in the future that each of our aldermen come prepared and have spoken with our city administrator before coming in this room.
Actually, we've got so much city business every month to conduct. This allows us to conduct that amount of work every month. We're not skipping any work that's to be done. We're just getting it done orderly so that we can have every opportunity to have a study session. And this is not an original thought of mine. It's been suggested by more than one city administrator, former city administrators, that a way to get things before the board in a timely fashion. The way we don't have a good way to do it right now by meeting after every board meeting is you're already too late. So this allows us to get it done in a timely fashion. I hope that by a resolution, by this resolution, it gives us an opportunity to try this, to see how well it works. If it doesn't work, we can always go back. Alderman.
I have always, and I brought up at our meeting with the parliamentarian, that I would think that instead of the alderman getting here and making their talk about what they've done and who they've seen, the people in this, or the citizenry in this town, probably don't need to know that much about it. But I think what they do need is for our department heads to be here and let those department heads tell exactly. Now, if it's one time a month, that's fine. But then they can tell us exactly what's going on in their department, and they're very well versed on it, and more so than we are.
Alderman Gluck.
I have mixed emotions about the format. I do like the study session format. When I first started working for the city years ago, they had, and I'm not suggesting this so nobody shoot me, they had a meeting every Monday, and it alternated between a board meeting and a study session. The second and fourth meetings were regular board meetings. The first and third were study sessions. So they had a meeting every Monday. I'm not suggesting that. So, but if there is some other way we could maybe accomplish the study session format that still allows us to conduct city business on the meeting that we have a study session. Possibly the study session begins the meeting, and then there's a short board meeting to conduct any business that is pressing. Or I don't even know how you arrange that, but I think it's a point well taken that I heard about concern about just having one voting meeting per month.
Mary, you got any other comments?
Was it ended here?
No, we got one more round.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
Yeah,
minutes.
you get to go again.
Go ahead, Alderman Oliver.
Yeah, so the way I read the code as well as the charter is that either way, I believe that not only would this take resolution, I believe it would also require a change in the charter. So this would be something that we would want to analyze as we go forward and we're looking at our revamping of our charter, our rewrite of our charter that we're going to be doing in the next couple of months. As one of the things that we are to do is we are to oversee that the business of the city is being conducted, and we're to oversee that we're going to mitigate liability. And I feel like if we can't take any action, because the study session, the board can take no action, period. And we may get into a situation where that creates some liability on our part with pressing matters. And I like the idea of having the study sessions prior to board meetings. And even if that were to require a charter change or a resolution or a temporary resolution, even until we could do that in a charter change, I would be willing to meet earlier even to do our study session before, and that way it's fresh on your mind and you don't have to wait. Now it may be something we may not want to take up at that meeting. We may have to still get our co-sponsor and add it to the next agenda, but still, if there are other questions, you still have another study session. You could ask a question in before the item was presented. And I think the study sessions really need to be work sessions of the board, not necessarily presentations. However, I do like the idea of at one of those study sessions every month, maybe you stagger it. You don't have all department heads do it in the same meeting. You do half of them one meeting and half of them the other meeting. And that way we're hearing from a department head every month. And we have 2 study sessions to prepare, and we're not meeting any extra days. I just feel like it is true that our after meeting study sessions obviously are too hard to do. So that's what I have to say.
Alderman Wilson, any further comments? Alderman Dunn, any further comments? I would make the comment that the reason that I did it this way is that most of the time, new items that are presented in a study session require some study, some input from staff, some preparation by staff from department heads, and so on. So that this format gives us an opportunity to have that time in there to do that work that has to be done before it comes back to the board. If it's only done the night of, then we miss that opportunity to do the work ahead of time. So I'd like to, at again, I'd like to try this, and we do not have to change the charter if we have a resolution. If this works and we want to keep it, we can then go and change the charter. Alderman Mouth. Alderman Clay.
Just one question. On some items, I know that it takes 2 votes to pass. So that would require 2 whole months to pass some items. That's my concern about one meeting a month.
It would be an ordinance or a zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
Any ordinance would.
So that would, I mean, it really slows down business if it takes 2 months to pass any ordinance like that then. So I'd be concerned about that. That was why, if we could do the first meeting have start it with a study session, have the study session, have a short section of business at it to take care of any items like that would be my only concern. But I applaud the efforts into trying to streamline the process.
Alderman Berry, close.
Close. Yeah, I do have that. I have that same concern, but I think that those are usually the exception when we have pressing issues. And I think that when we have that exception, we could always do a special called meeting if there is something extremely urgent. And like you said, we can try it. If we find it's not working, we can change it up a little bit. I don't think that we're losing any authority because staff still can't do anything without our vote, so we still keep our same authority. And I applaud the efforts. We've received several emails from all kinds. Ron Darden has talked about this a lot, and so I appreciate that feedback, and we do listen to the community feedback, and thank you for that.
Okay, caller, we got questions on resolution number 1929 as presented. Go green for yes and red for no. Passes 6-1. Now with that, had that failed, we would not have needed to look at item 22-161. But 22-161 takes us to get us through to January. And that effectively allows us to have a study session on the first Monday of the month and our regular board meeting on the second Monday of the month for November and December. And then we're off the rest of the month. Got Alderman Berry, the motion.
Second.
Seconded from Mathis. And that's simply setting that first Monday of the month in November and the first Monday in December as a study session to prepare for everything that's going to be on the agenda for the regular board meeting. That will be the second Monday. Will be on that item for a study session. If we get it done, and we get it done, I think we can effectively conduct the business of the city efficiently by doing this. Got a motion and a second, and you made the motion. You can start.
Okay, so I just have a question. So what would that look like for items that aldermen add to the study session between now and then? So that also plays into our rules.
We should be able to get, if you bring an item up at a study session at that first Monday night meeting, we should be able to get that item onto the agenda for the next Monday night.
So there won't be an agenda for the study session. Alderman can just raise items at the study session.
Items that'll be on the agenda will be things that are coming from the department heads and the city administrator, as you would normally get in your agenda packet.
Okay,
Those
but
things
in
will be
our,
addressed.
in our board rules, it says that we have to submit items for discussion on a study session to the city administrator. Do we still do that? And then those items go to the study session then?
This is allowing the board members to put something on a study session agenda at a study session.
So we can just bring those items to the study session. So this would also change our rules. Or we're going to have to change our rules based on this.
We're doing a
Then
resolution sort of
Daniel's
like that.
shaking his head no, the parliamentarian shaking her head yes. So I'm confused even more. Yeah.
I was just agreeing with.
Okay.
And I was shaking my head no, because we have the ability to add items period, anyway, outside. Not just that, but it,
Okay, so board members seeking to have an item added to a regular meeting agenda may direct the city administrator in writing to place an item on study session for discussion only. Items must be submitted to the city administrator no later than noon on the Monday preceding the week of the board meeting. That is, and I quote, Rule 2.2. Does
Understand.
that rule still apply?
No.
Then we have to change the rules if it does not apply. We would need to change the rules first before we could even make this change, I would think. I mean,
This resolution the resolution for these study sessions will allow you to get an item on a study session, on an agenda, on a regular agenda during a study session.
okay, that's wonderful. And I'm all for that if we can just Hail Mary those into the study sessions. But we still need to, just an item procedurally, we need to change the rule if it, doesn't go by the rule.
I hear you. We've got a whole study session coming up on that very topic, coming up as quickly as we can get a study session scheduled for it. So it's, we're
We
just
we can't pass this in violation of our rules is my only concern.
our resolution, we will.
We're going to pass a resolution in violation of the rules. Okay, I got it.
just to touch on that real quick, yeah, I don't believe it's a violation of the rules because as in Robert's rules, at the beginning of the meeting, any alderman or council member has the ability to add an item to the agenda. So we can use that if we have to, so that we're not in violation of the rules until we go back through and change those rules. At this meeting, I could have added an item to the agenda if I wanted to in the beginning, and we just use that and then go back through and change that.
You can only add an item if the board allows you to add an item, you take a vote on it. This is a way for an alderman to add an item without a vote for the board to at least have a discussion on it. So that is completely separate. And again, procedurally, we're putting the cart before the horse. You need to change the rule before you pass a resolution in violation of the rule.
Alderman Wilson.
So the first meeting will have an agenda the same as always of topics to kind of that we're going to discuss. The first one, the first
Study session or
one,
regular session?
the study session, yeah.
Study session, you will have an agenda sheet that has everything that we're going to be voting on at our next board meeting.
Right, okay.
That's for the alderman to understand that agenda item, can raise questions about it. If we need additional items, it gives the staff more time to prepare an answer that might be required. And we don't vote on it at that meeting, but you understand what's on the table, and we can go back and get those answers for our regular board meeting. So you're going to be better informed, I think, than the way we're doing it now. That's what I'm trying to do. Alderman Dunn.
I think, just so I'm clear, we are voting on item 161 to add a study session on November 7th and December 5th. That's all we're doing right now.
That's correct.
Okay, so we're just adding study sessions because normally in November and December, we just have one board meeting on the second Monday because of the holidays.
That's correct.
We're just adding 2 study sessions.
That's correct.
Okay.
Alderman Mathis.
Now, isn't it true that if something has already been voted upon, we cannot add that from a study session onto the agenda? If we have all,
It's dead, it's dead.
that's what I'm saying, it's dead, but we can't bring it back. True?
You cannot bring it back unless you reconsider or rescind it.
And that has to be the person who initially.
Reconsider, yes. Rescind, no. Reconsider.
Alderman Glue. Any further comment?
No, I don't.
Alderman Berry, any comment? No. Any other comments? Agreeing for the approving 2 study sessions in November and December. That passes 7-0.
Thank you.
We will adjourn the board meeting and go to the beer board. Any public comments for the beer board? Not, we're on the consent agenda. It's the minutes from the September 26th. The resolution, the board vote from Barry, seconded from Mathis. Vote green for yes, red for no. And that passes 7-0. No other unfinished business. There's no new business. The beer board will be adjourned. That adjourns our Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. We'll take a 5-minute break and go into study session.